Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Xa Talk Show. We are going to code Emacs Lisp today. Okay, so today's keyboard is expose. Expose, like the shooting bow. Expose knight, like white shining knight in white armor. Okay, expose knight is today's keyboard, and I got so this is Kyle Chalk switch tester, fantastic, from this company, Mkultra. Okay, so I got a new switch for my Glove 80. Okay, so you are going to see it in my next stream and in my lots of my streams. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. But today we are going to code Emacs Lisp. Okay, but let me talk about the keyboard for a moment. Okay, just search for ergonomic keyboard reviews, Xali, and you'll find. So this is a keyboard. I got new light switches for it. Fantastic. And let me show you the Chalk switch, the company. Okay, so you can see my reviews and video reviews, and then there's the switch part. So you go down, there it is. Kyle Chalk switch. Everything you want to know about it is here. Low profile switch. And here are the variations in the activation force. And because I have repetitive strain injury here, pain, therefore I need a light one. So I got this one, and from this company. So you can read about it. Just search for Xali Kyle Chalk switch. Okay, so that's about my keyboard. Let's do today's powerful thing, Emacs Lisp. Okay, let's code Emacs Lisp. Okay, video check, audio check, ready to go. Any comments and questions, post it. Okay, let's check one more time. So we got the Emacs window set up correctly. Yeah, video, audio check. Okay, any comments and questions? Emacs Lisp today. Okay, so we are going to write a Emacs Lisp command that sort out photos. Let me show you. Hello Ergo, hello Dave. So you can see here's a directory, a bunch of photos. Let me show you these photos. Fantastic. Food. My wife. Thank you, my wife. Food, you see. So you have lots of photos, and this is ergonomic chair. Okay, I love this chair. I've been using it in 1997 for about 2 years. But I think I'm gonna get it. This is from a friend's house. So, and he's got the ergonomic kneeling chair. Okay, fantastic. And he's in food, and we have dinosaur chicken. Okay, fantastic. And this is nice fine whiskey. And he's got a bunch of musical instruments, lots of guitars. So over here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guitars, and he's got lots of other instruments. Okay, so anyway, the problem is you have lots of photos, maybe your personal photos, or maybe images you downloaded from the web, or screenshots. Sometimes you want to sort them. For example, I have, typically most of us have lots of food pictures. We need to share what restaurant we went to today. So food pictures. So you want to press a button, and this photo, the current photo, will go to the food folder. Okay, John's food, my food, sandwich, or whatever. And suppose you have a chair, you go to some chair for, furniture or whatever, scenery. If you go travel, a bunch of photos, you want to go to Italy photos or France photos, things like that. So you want to press a button, and you'll just send that photo, the current photo, to that folder. Okay, so we are going to write that in Emacs. Okay, let me show you. So for example, here is Emacs Any questions, comments? Okay, so Emacs, you can open the photo. Okay, you can magnify. You can magnify the screen. You can shrink the screen. So I want to press the button. It'll go to that folder. So let's write that command now. Okay, that's today's thing. Okay, so now let's go back to the talk show page. Okay, so we're gonna write this command. Let's begin a Emacs Lisp block. Comments and questions, comment and questions. Okay, so define. So let's magnify. So pink window. The pink window shows all my command calls and keystroke. For example, you can see, these are the few commands I just called, and on the left side is the keystroke. I'm using a Vorak keyboard layout, and I'm using a Xafly keys. Okay, Xafly keys. Just search it, you'll find it. It's a Emacs modal key binding system. Okay, so anyway, let's begin code. Okay, define. I'm using Xa Emacs Lisp mod. So you have templates. So define. Let's name this sort photos. Basically, it does categorization of photos. Okay, so here you want it's a doc string. Okay, version, put today's date, move current folder to a specific folder. Okay, now first of all you need to define what folder you want to move to. So let's define some. Okay, so let's define var. Okay, this is how you declare a variable. In Emacs, it's not necessary to declare a variable. But however, when you declare a variable, let's say XYZ, let's say value 3, the advantage is that then you can have doc string. You see, you can document it so people can look up the variable. For example, let's look up a variable. Let's look up the, okay, so you call describe variable and let's say tab width. Okay, so that is a variable, tab width. Okay, enter. So you can see then here's the documentation. Tab width is a variable defined in C source code. Its value is 4, original value was 8. It describe variable, this command will tell you the variable's current value and sometimes the original value, and then there's a documentation that tells you what this means. Okay, so define, so very useful command. Okay, describe dash variable. Okay, and let's go back, and here we are using define var. So this is how you can define a variable that you can look up. Let's try it. Okay, so define a variable XYZ. First of all, the variable name. So let's see, variable so this will be a list of folders you want to move the image to. So what should the name of the variable be? Image destination target. Let's say image target folders. Okay, so this way, you call it target instead of destination. They are synonyms kind of, but target is short. Usually traditionally you say destination. So image destination folders. So you document it. Initial value will be neo, and neo and doc string. Okay, a list of folders for sort folders to move image to. Okay, something like that. So that's a documentation, but actually the value should, now we have to think about the data type. Now this variable, what should the value be? Should it be just the list, or should it be a list of path, or should it be a list of path but also for with a name for each folder. Let's say that. Okay, so we want a list of paths. So key value pairs. The key are the name. The value is a file path. Okay, so let's modify the documentation. So you say a list. Okay, a list means association list. So that's kind of like key value pairs. Okay, an association list of folders for xasort file to move image to. Okay, and then key are strings. Value is the path. Okay, that's a complete documentation. Okay, now let's define the value. Okay, set okay, then so here you need a association list. In short, it's called a list, a list. Okay, so that's a Lisp data structure. So the way you define it is like that. Okay, then const pair like this. Okay, key value. Okay, so you have multiple pairs. So let's begin to define this variable. Okay, so what let's say I want. So let's create a folder. Okay, let's say food. Okay, food. What? So food is one folder, and let's say chairs. Okay, that's just for example. Let's create another folder, chairs. Let's say things. Okay, so we got two folders now. Let's copy it, close, go back to the code. So there is one folder, and the folder name will be things. Okay, then a second folder, food. The folder name will be food. Okay, prettify the code. Fantastic. Prettify again. Fantastic. Okay, so we got a variable, the target folders. Now then we move. Okay, any comments? Jack Moif. Hi. Okay, so far so good. So we are coding Emacs Lisp of a command to move the current image to a folder, to a designated folder. Okay, so now let's code. So here is the code. Okay, so we have the list of folders. Okay, so now what to do? So first of all, you want to grab the current file path of the current image. Okay, so let me open that. Let me open a new window, show the image so you can see. So for example, let's go to my documents folder. You see Emacs can show images, right? So now you just press a button and it'll move this picture to the things folder. Okay, so so for example, let's go back here. Okay, let's code. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to know the file path of the current file. Okay, that is easy. So the file path of the current buffer is stored in buffer file. What is it? Current buffer. Okay, let's see. Current buffer is a function, returns the current buffer as list object. No, that's not what we want. I forgot it a moment. But let's show my Emacs Lisp tutorial. Search for practical Emacs Lisp. Okay, or tutorials from the ground up for beginners, so you can learn. So right now we want to know what is the function or variable that gives you the file path of the current buffer. Okay, so so you get buffer string, so text processing, get points, find, replace, get user input, buffer. Okay, click on buffer. What is a buffer? Get buffer name. buffer file name, that is the one we want, okay? Buffer file name is a function, but it is also a variable, okay? So let's show it. So buffer file name, of course, I know this. For example, copy it. So in Emacs Lisp, a symbol or a name can be both a function and a variable. So this aspect is very different from vast majority of languages, programming languages. In vast majority of programming languages, a name, a symbol, is just either a function or a variable. It cannot be both. But in Emacs Lisp and Common Lisp, it can be both. So let me show you. So let's say, let's do describe function, buffer file name. Okay, so you can see buffer file name is a built-in function. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now describe variable. Okay, you can see in the pink window, I call describe variable, buffer file name. Then it says buffer file name is a variable defined in blah, blah, blah. Its value, current value is this one, local in buffer, and so on. Okay, so in Emacs Lisp and Common Lisp, a name, more technically, a symbol, can be both a function or a variable, okay? So in this case, buffer file name, they actually do the same thing. Buffer file name is a function that returns the current buffer's file path if it is associated with the file, So for example, this file, right now this file is associated with a file. It's a file on disk. But sometimes if you just open an empty buffer, then it doesn't, then in that case, the buffer file name will return nil because it's a buffer, but it's not associated with a file. It's not a file, okay? So this function returns the file path of the current buffer, or this variable stores the file path of the current buffer. Okay, so we just need the variable, okay? So buffer file name is the file. Okay, so let's create some variables, okay? So that way it's easier to understand. So here we have a local variable, xfpath. Fpath stand for file path, and x is just my convention. Start a variable with x, so it's easy to tell. Okay, it's easy to tell. It's your own variable, not something from built-in from the language. Okay, so that's a local variable. So you got a file path, and let's add some check. Okay, if file path is not nil, okay, if it's nil, do nothing. Okay, if it's nil, do nothing. If it's not nil, then we need to move it. Okay, so how do you move it? Well, you see, you have several directories. You want to query user which directory you want to move to. Okay, so we have to write a command that prompts the user, something like that. But for now, let's just move it to food. Okay, let's just do it. So if the file path exists, then let's just move. Now, is there a move command? I don't know. I forgot. Let's see. How do you move a file in Emacs Lisp? Okay, let's check the practical Emacs Lisp tutorial. Move file. Write file, read file, file path, walk directory, walk a directory, and okay, I remember what it is. Rename file. Okay, rename file. That should do it. Okay, expand. So you got rename file. Describe function, rename file. Rename file is an interactive built-in function in C source code, okay? And here's a syntax. Rename file as new name, both arg must be string. If file has name other than file, it continue to have those names. If new name is a directory name file, rename file to a like named file under new name, okay? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, this command, rename file, actually can move file. Because that this is interesting point. To a human, rename and move are different things, okay? But it so happens when you implement it in Unix, rename and move is the same thing. So Emacs somehow just inherited that, adopted that semantics. Okay, so anyway, let's try this. Rename file, then the file is the xf path, okay? Then the new name is going to be one of this directory. Let's say food, okay? So the new name is going to be let's say format, okay? So let me show you what I'm doing, you'll understand. So here is a directory. We want to move it to the directory plus the current file name. Oh, so you need to do some surgery. You need to break up a full file path into the directory part and file name part, so you can append the file name part to the new directory, okay? That's what we need to do. So the code here is getting complicated. Let's clean up. Let me show you, okay? Be patient with me. Any questions, comments? Hello from Brazil and from Serbia, all the people around the world. Am I making, is so far so good? The Emacs Lisp coding. So we want to rename the file. So we need to break the path, file path. Okay, so let's do it here. So let's add some folder path. Okay, let's just I'm a bit sloppy in naming, but let's just push through. So folder path name. Okay, let's just say that. So the folder path will be so you want to folder path, file folder path. So how do you split a file path? Okay, so look here, user input, file buffer, write file, read file, file directory functions, file path functions right there. Okay, file name directory, that's what you want. Okay, set folder path equals to file name directory. Call this function file path. Okay, so that's your folder path, and similarly the file name part will be just file name non-directory. So you call the function file name non-directory. Okay, and that's that. Fantastic. Okay, actually we need to move these two inside here, because if the file path is nil, meaning the current buffer is not a file, is not associated with a file, then you don't need to do any of these. Only when it's there's a file path. Okay, so you so folder path, so that's a folder path, this is a file name. Then you rename the file of the full path to that, plus you want to be careful with the slash, because you want to avoid double slash. Okay, so so for now let's just add a slash there, so we but that's something you want to watch out. So when you want to write this command, when you want to write any Emacs command that deal with folder path or directory path, you always want to make sure there's a ending slash. So in your code you want to double check if there's no ending slash, and if this is a directory you need to add it, because otherwise sometimes when you join file path you'll end up with double slash. that can be very problematic. But because typically double slash will just become root, so you want to add code to double check that. And also by Emacs convention, any directory or folder should end with a slash. Okay, that's an Emacs Lisp convention. Okay, but so that's one thing. But what I'm saying is that you want to add code to double check that, because user don't know. User, especially from Unix people, they it's interesting in Unix tradition, in Unix convention or Linux, folder file path does not end with a slash. Okay, that's a Unix convention, but in Emacs Lisp you should. So in your code you should double check and add it. Okay, so anyway, but for now let's just do this. So we got so folder path file name, then we want to rename, so rename file. So here you want so that, and okay, so actually just another argument. Okay, let's show you so it's more clear. Okay, so I think that's the code. Okay, so rename file, 2 arguments. The first is the full path to the file, to the image file. The second part is the directory you want to move to plus the file name of the current file. Okay, and okay, so that will rename, that will actually move the file there. But let's try it. Okay, let's just so there is already exist. So if already exist. So if already exists, don't move. Okay, let's just say remove that. You won't. Okay, so that's it. That's our code. Shrink a little bit. Okay. So there's a comment. Michael or Michelle. Michael Viana says, read your article where you say if the function keys are not easy to press, then it's not good to put frequently used commands to them. That's true. What about function keys in a laptop like Dell Inspiration? So, well, that just depends on you. That depends on that particular laptop. In generally speaking, for me, laptop, their key layout varies a lot. So let me take 2 minutes to talk about that. Okay, so laptop, so you go to XR keyboard, laptop. So here's a survey of all laptop keyboards. So laptop, their key layout varies a lot. So you are looking at Google Chromebook. Okay, for example, you have that. Then you have the Apple, for example, Apple. One thing to notice is that there are no gaps between function keys. Okay, and also another thing to notice, they are tiny. They are not full-size keys, tiny. Okay, and no gaps. On a typical keyboard, if you are looking at for example, my keyboard, this one, for example. Okay, so you see, function keys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a gap in between, you see. So I can close my eyes and I can hit the correct function key. I can literally do that. So, so on a traditional keyboard layout, full-size keyboard with function keys, they are very easy. They have gaps, 4 keys in each group. Okay, but not so on laptop. Okay, so let's look at some other laptop keys. Okay, so that's Apple's laptop, and this model, it become worse. They removed function keys and you got this useless display, fucking idiotic Apple without Steve Jobs. This what is this good for? This is good for Norton utilities. Okay. So anyway, so that's so obviously if you have this laptop, then you don't want to press those screen keys. That's the worst of the shit. And here is the classic IBM ThinkPad, so again, function keys, and here in particular, you see they are grouped in groups of 4. Fantastic, okay? But what about the current version? The current version, yeah, it's not so good. It's smaller and it's a little gap, okay? So to your question, it just depends on you, and in general, maybe not. It's hard to say, okay? So you just try it. Because, so one choice is to set a function key, to do something on a laptop. The other choice is then set up alt something or control something. But on a laptop, those are also difficult. So you have a kind of a tough choice. Yeah, I mean, there's no absolute easy answer. Either you press function keys or you alt and control or FN, something. And also, of course, on laptop, the function keys are no longer function keys these days. Usually they are, screen brightness, other things. And you have to hold FN key first, or you can turn that off. So it's getting a bit complicated. Depends on your personal, which laptop it is and your finger habit, okay? Another keyboard question. My hand started to hurt from coding with blue switches. Am I screwed? Well, so, that's a complicated question. So, but the easy thing I can recommend is that stop using blue switches. Use a linear, cherry red linear switch, as light as possible. So there are many cherry Emacs linear manufacturers out there. The traditional original one is cherry Emacs red linear. Okay, that's good. But if you use Kyle red, that's not good, because Kyle red is actually much more stronger, much heavier. So, but if you use Gateron linear red, then that's good. That's super good. Okay, so brown is not good. Okay, well, I mean, it's personal question. Okay, if you don't have RSI, then you can have any preference. But if you do already have hand pen like me right now, for example, I talked about this many times, right here, I must have cherry MX. I mean, I must have basically either cherry MX red linear. The cherry MX red silent, even the silent one, is not good enough. So I must, in short, I must have light switches. Okay, we are digressing from the topic. Let's go back. Okay, I want to, maybe after Emacs, then let's talk about those things. Okay, and pay me, guys. Okay, if you donate, that's what I'm here for. If you're gonna ask me a lot of questions, you want me, you trust my answers and stuff like that. For example, I have a so you go to design, keyboard design. There's a section on key switches, and there are like 10 or 20 pages talking in detail about each of the key switch. And there's a particular page about the different linear red switches, how they differ. Okay, so all that. So basically, if you don't have a hand pen, if you are young and don't have any problem, you can prefer any switches you want. It really depends on the person. You have different preferences. But if you have RSI, then you probably better with linear and light switches. Okay, brown is no good. Brown is the worst. Okay, let's go back to Emacs Lisp coding. So we are writing a command to move this. Oh yeah, so pay me. Okay, donate. Don't like the video or whatnot, the YouTube corruption. But pay me is the most important thing. Just Patreon me. Go to my website ksadi.info, and bottom you have Patreon, Amazon gift card, PayPal. If you want to specific, in particular, if you want something important to you, you want to get my opinion on it. Okay, so let's go back to the code. So here let's evaluate this. Okay, we are basically this will work, I'm pretty sure. So evaluate the buffer, okay, then go to the image buffer, okay, so we can look at different images, you know. So now I want to now close this, okay. Let's see this one, okay. Let's see this one. Wait, let's rename this file food, okay, first of all. Okay, so here is the image of food. Open it. Now I want to call this command, and it should move it to the food folder. Okay, so the command name is xasort photo. Okay, meta x xasort photo. Okay, do it. Oh, invalid argument. Okay, I don't know what is the problem. Invalid argument. So that's the current file path, and the new file path is incorrect. You see, it appended the full path to it. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's need to oh yeah, so this part should be name, obviously. Okay, evaluate the buffer, go back here, close the messages, close that, unsplit, open the file, okay, call the last command, do it. Fantastic, I think it's done. Now diet jump to go to the directory. Let's see, where is this photo now? Diet jump, what? Oh, refresh, it's gone. So let's go to food. There it is, open. Fantastic, so it worked. Okay, our function is complete, but not yet. Right now it's hard-coded, okay, but actually we want to prompt user to for which directory. Okay, let's do this quickly. Okay, let's do this quickly. So we want to rename the file. So let's see, new folder. Okay, so new folder, target folder. Okay, so we need to define a target folder. Okay, so ask user, we want to ask user which folder. So so what we do, so you so let's go back to Emacs, practical Emacs Lisp. You want to prompt user, so get user input, interactive form, get user input there. Read file name, no. Read directory name, no. Well, normally you can do that, but if you use this command, that means every time you ask user to type a file path, that's no good, that's tedious. That's why we define this, you know, predefine a list of file path. So in this case, we want to ask it a select from a list. Okay, completing read, that's what we need. Select from a list. Okay, so you want to ask user, so set target folder. Okay, so actually now let's move it back to the, okay, let's move it back here. Okay, so food chair. Okay, so set target folder to, okay, completing read. What? Wait, why don't I have a shortcut to complete? Let's see. Okay, so this is a long command, so it's gonna be something like that. Completing read, pick a folder. Okay, Then collection is a list of folders that will be, usually it should be a list, but I don't know if it takes a association list. Okay, let's just try it. Optional, let's optional predicate, require match, let's just ignore them. Okay, prettify the code. Okay, so now we have the target folder. Now, so let's change the hard-coded folder to the target folder. Okay, and here we can what? Wait, did I change my keyboard? What happened? Oh, I think we have I have sticky keys, I think. Okay, so now I think it's good. Okay, so here rename file compacted into one line. Okay, so rename file from this original path to target folder and file name. Is that correct? Yes, I think so. So yeah, so eval the buffer. Let's try it now. Okay, let's try. So let's say, okay, so let's open this. So let's rename this chair first. Chair, black chair. Okay, and white chair. Okay, make them underscore. Make them underscore. Yeah, so here's a black chair, close. Here's food, close. Here's white chair, close. Okay, open white chair. Now call sort photo. Pick a folder. Okay, now wait. If I do it now, it's not gonna work because now it's good. Now it says food or things. That's correct. However, the value needs to be the target folder. The value should be the value of the key. So you see, it prompts you the key, but the actual value should be the path. So the target folder here needs to change to get the value. This completing read, it returns the, actually what does it return? Let's see. What does it return when the list of choices is a association list? Okay, so let's look up describe function, search for list. Collection can be a list of things, a list, an op array. Okay, and so I suppose the value is just the const pair. So the value is the pair, key and value. So for example, we can check by message, print it out. Let's see what we got. Okay, target folder is that. So we can check, and let's not rename for now. Okay, so eval the buffer. Now go here, call the command, say sort photo meta x. Let's say things, enter. Okay, it prints target folder is things. Okay, so it just returns the key. So we need to get a value. Okay, so how do you get the value of a key in a association list? Okay, let's go back here and check. But before we do that, let's go to talk show and add these links to the talk show so we have a record of it. Choke switch. Okay, Emacs commands. What is this? Okay, so we want to, so what we want to do now, we want to, Emacs Lisp. Okay, Emacs Lisp basics, and there's a section on association list. Okay, there it is. So how do you get the value of a key given a key? So that would be a list get. Return the first value of the key. If no exists, return default or nil. A list get. Okay. Okay, let's try that. So here will be describe function. Let's see, where is it? This is a new in Emacs 27, I think. It doesn't say. In Emacs 25, okay, we can use that. Because typically, this is new in Emacs 25, so this function is actually something like 7 years old. So, I mean, before that, for the past 30 years, it's usually this associate command instead. Anyway, the list get is good. Okay, a list get key will be that, okay, and the value will be that. Optional default, we don't care. Default remove test function, we don't care. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Okay, that's the command. Evaluate the buffer. Now close it, open it, white chair, meta x, sort photo, enter. Now which folder you want to move it to? Things, do it. Wrong arguments. Nah. Okay, I think the completing read actually, what does it return though? Let's see the error message. Okay, so it actually returns the const pair, I think. Let me just try it, okay? Eval the buffer, do it. Okay, so what? So I want to know what type it is. So let's. So you want const p. Okay, let's try again. Now it will print true if it's a const pair. Do it. Const p is nil, so it's not a. Okay, so it actually returned the key. So this completing read actually returns a key. The key part from the association list. Let's just to make sure. Let's say string p. Okay. String p tests something is a string. Okay. Eval the buffer. Go here. Call it. Do it. Okay, string p is true, so now we are certain that completing read, when given a association list, it just returns the key. Okay, so now we know it's a key, so you just do a list get again, get the target folder from, yeah, I think we got this part wrong. So get the target from that. Okay. And what about the test function? Now, because association list, you have keys, and it wants to know whether those keys are strings or whether those keys are symbols or something else, or numbers. So it wants to know how do you compare the key in order for it to retrieve it. Okay, so let's look up the documentation for list get. So that's the test function part. Okay, so when using it to set the value optional argument, remove the nil. Yeah, I don't like this new function because it's very confusing. Defaults to equal. Okay, that's no good. So the key, the testing key function, defaults to EQ. EQ is no good because, for example, let me show you. Okay, so for example, let's close that. So let me show you why EQ is no good. So if you say EQ, let's magnify. Let's say X. Okay, two strings X, they should be the same, but if you do EQ, they return false. Let's do it. You see, nil at the bottom. That is why this list get is fucking things up. This new function is it's not a good design. Okay, this function is new. It's not a good design. Yeah, so we can do this by, optional default nil, remove nil. Test function, then you want to text function to be equal. Okay, that will work, but I'd rather not use this. Okay, I'm pretty sure this will work. Okay, so let's eval it, go back here, code it, do it. Okay, yeah, so we need to actually, anyway, this is getting, I think I'm talking too long now. Let's see what's some comments. But not so uncomfortable. Like ThinkPad, I will make a test. If I get uncomfortable, I'll stop using function keys. Yeah. Well, you should not type on laptop keyboards, more than 5 minutes, because it is the laptop keyboards that got me RSI since 2005, because I was using laptop all day and all night exclusively for like 2 years. Then I realized, then one day there's tingling, then that's when everything went downhill. So don't use laptop keyboards for more than 5 minutes. So some Emacs usually slow on Mac OS, so is there something I'm missing? No, it's not. Okay, there are a lot of people have the idea that Emacs is slow on Windows or on the Mac. Technically, it's true. Okay, especially on Windows. Emacs on Windows, in particular, is slower than Emacs on Linux. Okay, Emacs on Linux is the best because that's what Richard Stallman wants. Whenever, if the Emacs version on Mac or on Windows is better than on Linux, Richard Stallman will do something to it to make so that to make it, to destroy the Emacs Windows version. That's what he do, because he wants to only promote free software, even that means damage something. So technically it's true that Emacs on Windows in particular is slower on Linux, but however, it's practical. Practically speaking, I don't notice a thing. You just set up your Emacs correctly. My Emacs is probably faster than whatever Linux Emacs you are using. Okay, well, for a lot of reasons, because I don't use random packages and so on. Typically random, whatever packages you downloaded on Mailpa, including the most popular, that S package, there's F package, there is dash, those the most popular, million downloads. Every library is calling them. Those are not good. Okay, that slows you down. Okay. So, yeah, technically Emacs on Windows or on Mac is slower, but practically not much difference today. Not today. Maybe in the past, not today. Okay, so anyway, so this function is done. This function is done now, but it's not perfect. As far as coding it, we already demonstrated it works. So, but there's one. Okay, let's take 5 minutes to fix this final thing. So it's good. Completing read. Okay, it returns the key. Okay, so it returns the key. So what you want is I don't want to use the Lisp get. Okay, that's annoying new bad design. Because why? If you are, this is getting esoteric, okay? But if you are a Emacs Lisp coder and have been so for a year, then especially if you are a Lisp coder, a common Lisp coder, then you'll know what I'm talking about now, okay? Now in common Lisp, they have this generic place thing, fuck, okay? This, you see, let me read it. You see, you can use a Lisp get in place expressions. Notice, you see, fuck, hold on a second. You see, these place expressions, that is as a generalized variable. What the fuck that is? Doing this will modify an existing association. More precisely, the first one, if mutable exists. Fucking incomprehensible fuck. But basically, essentially what that they are trying to say is that you can use this Lisp get to, for example, in similar, let's say in Python. Okay, let's switch to Kazaa Python mod. Okay, for example, when in Python you have a array, let's say 3, 4, 5, and let's say you want to set the first element of that array to, let's say, something. Okay, so in Python you can do that, but however, notice there's a semantic strangeness going on. Although this seems intuitive, but there's actually, logically speaking, there's something strange going on, because here normally when you see this syntax, bracket, that means return the value. Okay, let's change to hold on, let me make this more clear. Okay, you see, normally when you see a bracket, a number inside it after some list, that means retrieve the value of that list. Now look at this whole expression. So first of all, you retrieve the value at position 0 of the list X list. So this part gets 3. Now you assign 3 a number to something. That's error, right? That's no good. So that's the semantic, that's a detail, okay? So when you use this syntax, in fact, this syntax is not a good syntax. It's logically wrong. We use it in part because convention, because we've been doing that for C. Well, this doesn't. I don't think this came from C, but we've been doing this for the past 30 years or so. So this seems intuitive, but actually it shouldn't be, okay? Because this part returns a value. You can assign a number to a value, okay? So this is a Python example. Now in Lisp, they are trying to do the same thing. That's what this incomprehensive paragraph is trying to explain. You can use a list get in place expressions. So what they mean by place expression is like here is a place expression. That means this expression does not actually evaluate to a value. It actually just indicate a place, a location in an array. Okay, so that's what this place expression mean. So that is as a generalized variable. So in here, they call this part generalized variable. It's a fucking fucked up fuck, okay? Loved by common Lisp idiots, okay? You see, normally when you don't see this as unintuitive, but when you started to use the very logical Lisp syntax of parentheses, then you'll notice it's strange. But the common Lispers, they don't know, so they made Lisp to use this illogical syntax, but in the Lisp syntax, they think that's generalized and powerful, but in fact it's just shit, okay? It fucks up the excellent properties of Lisp, by this generalized variable, the common Lisp fuck. That's the explanation for this. Okay. Okay. So let me add that to the talk show. So this is actually very rare and important information in my talk show about this, because fuck, I think I screwed up. I didn't copy it. Yeah. Okay, I can rewrite it. Okay. So this is important because anyone can teach you about basic Emacs Lisp, which is what I've been doing in the past hour. But this part about language design detail is very rare. You will not hear it from tutorials almost anywhere. This opinion about how it the evaluation, the semantics of the design of the list. Okay. So let's redo this 3, 4, 5. So okay, so here's an example of the logical incongruity of the list element assignment syntax in most imperative programming languages. Okay, that's what they are, or imperative or procedural. By the way, languages like C, Python, Java are typically called procedural languages, including Perl, And, well, of course, they are also OOP. But the imperative, IMPRA, so I got it spelled wrong. Imperative language also describe this. What you might be wondering, why imperative? What does it mean? What the heck does it mean? Well, it just means it just means procedural. It means every time you give it commands to tell it what to do, as opposed to functional programming or in contrast to declarative programming language, where you say what you want. But in Python, in Perl, in Ruby, in JavaScript, those are imperative programming languages, meaning that you each command, you directly tell it what to do. Okay, so you have to describe in detail what to do, do this, do not do this, now do this. And where does so that's what imperative programming language mean. Where does that came from? Why do you use the word imperative? Very not intuitive. That came from linguistics. Okay. So anyway, so here is the Python example of the, okay, so we documented in here, and now let's go back to our Lisp code. Let's get this done. Okay, we rambled a lot, and it's already over an hour now. So let's say that's it for today. I mean, after all, this command is already done and it works. Okay, so we can use this. So we don't need these. We don't need these messages. Okay. Anyway, so put the code back in the talk show page. Syntax correct, show in browser. Okay, that's today's fruit. Thank you guys for watching, and that's it for today. I just talked about switches for 10 minutes. Are you not here? I use the trivial so makes sense. I isn't doing Emacs, too many plugins. Yeah, so about switches, I personally, because I prefer Cherry MX Red or anything lighter. Okay, actually, why don't I just show, or choke switch? Okay, choke switch. So you go to this page, Kioth choke switch. Just search for it on my xali.info website. Then you'll see officially choke switch, they don't have anything lighter than 50 grams. Okay, but some sellers, for example, this M Kotra, okay, so you can buy lighter switches from them. Okay, which is what I did. And so you have Pro Red, you have G Chalk, Pro Red at 35, G Chalk at 20, and you also have silver at 40 and pink at 20, even super light. So anyway, I'm using you're gonna see. So anyway, that's it for today. I need to take a break. Thank you guys for watching. If you like my stuff, again, pay me. Okay, buy my Emacs tutorials and my JavaScript tutorials. Bye guys. Bye guys. So I'm gonna shut down in 1 minute. Clean up shutdown in 1 minute. So today we did this these works. Let's see. So in fact, I don't want to use this. I want to use associate. Okay, so let's look at the source code for a list get. A list get. Bye guys. 10 people watching.